Yo, yo, yo! Welcome to the podcast brought to you by the ANOUVUE Collective, where we're going to talk about everything film related, from script to screen and anything else in between. Stay tuned. All right, everybody, welcome back to another ANOUVUE podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about AI. Yeah, I know you're tired to hear about it. Every day you see it on your feed. Yeah, me kind of tired too, but I'm still interested. AI is getting better and better every day, and more impressive it looks, the more scary it looks. So we want to talk about it, and we want to talk about it in a very different way. How should we be using AI? That's what we're going to be talking about today. And just for a little background, everybody knows the starting point, well, visually, when we talk about that Will Smith video where he's eating the pasta and it looked absolutely horrible. But we are now, what, 2 years past that or 3 years past that, and now it's becoming incredibly difficult to tell an AI-generated video from real life. Yes, there's still little ways to tell, but it's getting to the point now where only a professional eye can really tell. Google Veo 3 launched the other day, and it's now just really making a storm. It's making everybody talk. So we're to kind of talk about, where do we go from here? Because clearly it's not going to stop. There's not we can do to stop it. So do we join? Do we fight against it to our own demise? What do we do? So today we have on Mark Leckie and Tarek Alexander. And of course, I didn't introduce myself. Kevin Jackson, I'm the voice you hear at the beginning of these videos. But I'm gonna throw a question out, guys. I'm gonna throw a question out. I have three questions because I want to keep this podcast down to half an hour. So first question, do you think AI is gonna take your job? I'll let any one of you jump in. Don't be shy, guys. Don't be shy.
Wait, all right. I think you did not go first, Tariq. Um, as a cinematographer, or even if I'm AC and whatever, I don't think AI can take my work. It could create images, videos, all of these things, unless you want to go in that way of prompting to create film and work. Can't take my work because I operate cameras, my lift cameras, I think of lighting and all of this. Even though AI can do all of that, it's not a person. And you can't lift a camera. You can't, you know what I mean? You can't
But
use skills and all of that.
but do you think with how I mean you've seen Google Veo 3, right? You've seen the videos they've been putting out.
Yeah. I wanted to
Right
send
now,
that to you. Yeah.
all has to do is take a picture, write a prompt, and they get the same effect that the camera would give you, along with, motion, everything, and dialogue. So why do you think it can't take your job?
I'm a cameraman. Unless you stop using a camera,
But
I
as I'm
mean,
saying, do you
you
need
can't.
cameras if you have
Well,
activation?
well,
I mean, to be fair, we've seen footage of robots being camera operators. I, I think I don't know if those are controlled by someone else, but we've seen videos of that, and that was very shocking. I mean, I will say, to answer your first question, it's always triggering for me because you see faces with AI, which would mean like actors. So I have felt many times that it could, um, but then I always go back to the fact that AI doesn't understand nuance. Um, I don't know if that would change the more it learns, but I still do believe in the power of like a human connection because we've had discussions off air, and I've said just I I don't know how I would feel watching a movie where there's no human on screen and it's just AI. That would be very off-putting to me.
Fair enough, fair enough. And I'll give my take, before I jump to the next question. Um, I do believe that our jobs are at risk, but I don't think our jobs will be eliminated. I think at first, there's definitely going to be a wave of people creating films with just prompts, because at the end of the day, I can prompt the perfect characters, good looking characters. And I can prompt, eventually the acting is going to get really good. Like I just saw something Google released where it can turn your notes into podcasts. So if I write, class notes and I find it hard to reread and study, I can upload that into this AI software and it can create two characters that are bantering the points back and forth, which helps me to understand it better. And when you hear them talk, you're hearing the and the arms and giggles and them, bantering. It sounds like a very realistic conversation, but you mentioned nuance. There's something very random about human beings and certain quirks, certain, random things that you may not get with AI because there are certain mistakes that we make as human beings that is partially cultural and partially personal. And sometimes these accidents become viral. I don't anticipate AI, being able to predict what mistakes will make sense to inject. But the other thing is, which we were talking about earlier, I think it was me and Tarek or me and Lecky or maybe both of you. I was talking earlier and saying that one of the big things about movies is when a great idea really hits you and something visually amazing is on screen, and you know in the back of your mind that this was an extremely difficult thing to pull off, you want to see the behind the scenes. And if you're using AI, what is the behind the scenes going to look like? People prompting? That's not going to be as interesting as seeing Tom Cruise jump off a cliff with a bike, or seeing him jump out of a plane, or even seeing that comedian improvise a scene
So
completely.
bloopers.
Bloopers.
So, and that's
I mean,
what before we started a
bloopers.
while ago. And that's what before we started a while ago, Tarek was talking about where, bro, I want to see the behind the scenes of the submarine for the second version of whatever this new
Mission
Tom Cruise
Impossible.
movie is.
Yeah.
If we're prompting that, like, where you get that
Who
from?
cares about it? Right.
Who cares
Like if
about that?
you're prompting it, like who cares at that point, right?
Yeah, at that point, who will care about Tom Cruise doing his own stunts? Them they're the things when we hear say Tom Cruise jump and broke him foot, and then we see that shot because they use that shot because that's what they do in the stunt community.
Mhm.
We'll feel more for him. We'll feel more for the film. We go say, like, we go see the shot when broke him foot, what that he broke his leg on. You know what I mean? We go
Yeah.
missing a lot of things with this AI business. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
what I was trying to say earlier is, I know you saw Tariq, you saw the thing with the robot operating. I saw that too. We have had
Yeah,
robots operating for years. Not that type of robot, more like the industrial robots. Where they have one called Kira and all type of things that does a crazy camera move and can repeat it. We've seen that for years. And yes, if you have a robot that's gonna operate for you, a camera for you, maybe you could do the same moves over and over. Humanoid robot. Maybe it could hold the camera and operate the camera, bam, bam, bam. But the thing is, you see, when you take a camera off of one of those industrial robots that can do it very accurately, remember now that robot, that humanoid robot, is now going to have the same thing that we human have, the sways and everything, and going to be affected by many things. So it's basically still another human, but somebody you're just not going to be paying unless you paid for that robot from the rental company they came from, right? That's who
Yeah.
you going. It's crazy. Now we go into that. But this isn't that is
But
a humanoid robot. That's an android we can call that AI, but that's not really the AI we really are talking about. You see me? I say the AI that we're talking about is prompting and looking at the video. I saw the new thing. I was gonna send it to you where they were running jokes about the they're running jokes about AI and talk about can AI do this, and they made an old basically commercial about AI, running joke about AI off of that whatever the Google thing is. That shit tricked me at first. I was like, hold on, is that real? Then I started seeing the little intricacies to what AI can do, like lips and certain things. Or some people in the background, them yeah gone, all kind of things, right? Those like you can
So
prompt till
remember,
you fool.
So here's my thing, why I think we shouldn't focus on whether or not AI can capture nuance, because I think it will be able to capture nuance, especially when quantum computing happens. You're looking at 10,000 or even 100,000 times the computations that it can do now. So those little mistakes will be a thing of the past because it will be able to process those things. But what I think AI will not be able to do while we'll still have a job or while we'll still have DPs is just that the value of shooting film will go down for the average shooter. Because when somebody needs you to just shoot a wedding or shoot a commercial a specific way, a robot can do that, an AI can do that. What they're going to hire you for as a DP is your eye. Why? Because we had spoken about this. One of the things that's special about human beings is improvisation. And when I say improvisation, I don't mean like doing what you feel like in the moment. I mean, like, to me as a director, I'm a very collaborative director, right? I think anybody who's worked with me knows that. And as a result, what I appreciate is when the DP goes, hmm, yo, if we shoot through these flowers, we get a nice little effect, it have a little vibe. And then I look at it and I go, yo, for real, that look nice. You may not think about that when you're prompting because you're not in the environment to see it and feel it and realize that, hey, if we shoot through this, because you remember when we were on that shoot, Lecky, for Environment Trust, and it was a fish, we were on the beach, and I was like, yo, let's shoot from behind the net. And we shot from behind the net and we're like, yo, this actually look really good, right? That may not come to you when you're prompting because you don't see the net, right? The net is not your focus. And same thing with actors. An actor might be like, hey, what if I play it like this? And you go, that's not a bad idea.
But that's the next thing. You may prompt it and you see it in the shot, in the prompt, which is the net. And you go, oh shit, that looks sick. But then how
You
do you
see,
prompt it to go behind that net and shoot
Maybe
that?
with VR. Yeah, no, I mean, put it this way, when they combine AI with VR, that might be a possibility. Because here's the thing about what filmmaking might look like in the future. You remember when you watch Star Trek and they would be on these little adventures, and then in the middle of the adventure, you hear a prompt saying, hey, Lieutenant so-and-so report to the barge. And then they say, okay, coming. And then they go, hologram, disabled. And then you realize they were not in the forest having an adventure. And you go, wait, hold on, them was in a holodeck, right? That's
mm,
probably what filmmaking will look like. You're going to be in the VR world. You prompt a world, and then you put on your VR glasses. And then, like you said, you actually see the net and go, oh, let's film from behind here. Let me tell the prompt, or let me prompt the camera to go over here, right? And the prompting will just be you talking to it. But at the end of the day, I think you're still going to be directing it, right? I believe. But
I
who
mean,
knows?
well, like you brought up an interesting thing about, you putting it in the prompt. The thing with AI is that, he's right. It's always been around, but it's adapted and it's evolved. And the more you use it, the smarter it gets. So, just like how you said, we as humans, we have our own style and, improv, which is great. Do you think that AI will evolve to a place where it has its own style? Or will it always be fully reliant on prompts?
All
I
right. Wait there. See that? You see that something
Not
there?
true. Not true.
You see that? You see that? What he just said? That is very serious because now what he's saying is once if a AI have style, that means an AI start having some sort of consciousness where it can go. This is what unless you're gonna Unless like a camera where you go, okay, this is a phantom camera. This does high speed. This is built for high speed. This is a RE camera. This does normal cinema, right? And you have other cameras that's great for low light. You know what I mean? Unless we're gonna build robots like that, they won't have a style. But if we start building a robot and say this robot can do all of these styles, unless we can program those styles inside of them and we press a button, if we make robots decide, that means that them start get consciousness. And when a
No,
robot start get consciousness, a robot start think like a human, start move
right?
like a human, to the point it's almost like when you go on set with another human and then you go, I want this lighting setup, I want this, and then they go, no, I don't think
Okay.
that would work, and then you start having issues with a fucking robot that you
And
rented.
Terminator happens. Yep.
So, all right. Suppose I tell you that can happen, and here's why. Right now, you can say to AI, "Hey, I want you to be a cinematographer, and I want you to be a cinematographer with the style of these five cinematographers, and we are shooting a scene that involves X, Y, and Z, and I want you to decide how you would shoot this shot, right? And choose the style that you find appropriate." Right? And it will do it like a human because it's going to have enough information about different DPs and how they make decisions, why they make decisions, because they've done interviews to say, this is why I like natural light, this is why I like this is why I like that, you know? So, but the thing is, I think the only thing that will be missing, but it puts us on this very competitive edge with AI, is the the unseen or the undone. And what I mean by that is some DPs stay the same for the rest of their life. Meaning, if them shoot one way when they're 30, them shoot the same way at 60 years old. But then you have some DPs every 3 or 4 or 5 years they change because they're evolving. They're looking and they're going, I'm tired of shooting like this. I want to find a new way of shooting. Or tired of this lighting setup. I want to find a new way of lighting. Or they might be like, yo, I've been doing high key lighting all my life. I'm tired of that now. I'm going to start focusing on this. Or, I want some bizarre lighting choices. And if you say to the AI, oh, I want you to shoot like Lecky, and it looks through your library of stuff, it's gonna shoot like your library of stuff. But if I check Lecky now, Lecky's work don't look anything like that. And that content don't reach a library yet for the AI to pull from. So I still have to look towards Lecky to see what is Lecky doing because Lecky now light the way him used to light and him now shoot the way him used to shoot. Lecky used to color very cold. Now him start get warm. Lecky used to shoot mostly high level shots and high level shots. Now he must shoot low for most things because he wants to explore the world from a different angle, right? Them those kind of things. Like he want to shoot with some very obscure lenses with some, you know, whole heap of diffusion in it and whatever, which maybe that wasn't his style before. So I feel like AI can't necessarily predict where you as a DP want to go if you're the type of DP that experiments a lot versus the DP who stay the same, then yeah, AI can kind of predict what that DP going to shoot like in the future. 'Cause it don't
So,
really change.
so I don't want us to get mixed up with AI and Androids, even though AI is going to run Android anyway because it's the operating system. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But the AI, what we talk about prompting, I believe that is, even though I see China doing some things now, robot fights and all type of things, humanoid robot fights, I believe the most destructive one is the one that we're typing and we're putting in prompts right now because it's quicker access to everybody. Everybody have quicker access to it
Right.
and they can do way more with it.
Mm-hmm.
The humanoid android robots, that's even though they show them operating a camera and all of that, we're still a little ways from that. And we as filmmakers, until that shit start acting like a human and moving like a human, we do not care for it as filmmakers, right? Some filmmakers gonna
Do
get it
we
and use
not
it.
though? Well, because you see, that was going to be my question because we know mutual people who are for AI and have said, we need to find ways to work with it, because what Kevin was saying, it makes filmmaking to some degree less expensive. So now the question is, how do we work with it? Because it's not a case where it's gonna go away. Even if the three of us or some other people that we know don't use it at all, like we don't have ChatGPT on the phone, you don't use, like the common stuff, it's still a part of your everyday life. So how do you navigate with it?
So
Which
that's what.
brings me to my next question, if you'll
But
allow me. Like, you can
wait.
still merge your
Well,
current point.
yeah.
I
Let's
just want
let's 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 make sure we separate the Android from the AI,
Yeah,
because I
man, we
don't
do
want
that.
us to talk about Android, and we're not really talking about Android. We're talking about Chat GPT and other things, because
Yeah,
no,
man,
well,
understood.
I'm talking about generative AI, anything that you use to create something
yeah.
new. So create a visual, create words, create art, whatever the case is. Something that didn't exist there before. You decided, hey, I want to create a car chase, and I'm going to prompt that car chase, or I need a storm. I'm going to prompt this storm. Now, my next question is, and I want to jump to the opposite topic. Right now, we're talking about, do we think it's going to take our jobs? Next question is, could it create more jobs?
New technology always create more jobs. Always.
I
What
I
you
I
said,
would
Terry.
I don't know. I honestly don't know, because you asked that question today when literally earlier this morning I saw a headline that said AI is taking away a lot of entry level jobs, particularly white collar jobs. I don't remember the
Right.
percentage it said, um, so I don't want to misquote it. But
And,
So,
and is that a bad thing?
eh,
I think if you are, I don't know if my answer is going to change in the future, because I'm sure our parents and grandparents, as technology was evolving, they to some degree felt the same way. But in my core, I think that if someone has a skill set and you are removing that as a way for them to make a living, I have an issue with that. I don't know if, with the AI presenting itself as a way for you to be dispensable, if that's a good thing. At least
All right.
that's
And
not
here's
that's my proper answer
no,
right now. That
no, let
might
me tell
change,
you,
but that's just how I feel about it now.
no, so it's a great answer because one of the things is we use that analogy all the time that technology has always been advancing, and we always hit a point of anxiety and uncertainty as to whether our jobs are going to go away, and jobs always get eradicated, but then more jobs emerge. And so there are some people who are comfortable saying, oh, the same thing is going to happen here. However, the thing that people who are anxious about it, they say that this is different because now you're introducing a technology that can literally replace all of your skills. With the other technologies, it still left room for your skills. And those technologies were tools that enhanced your skill versus AI now that's actually doing your skill, replacing your skill. But to that, one of the things that I say is, let's look, for example, at Blockbuster. With Blockbuster was the place to rent videos to watch any content that came out in the cinemas and you missed it in the cinemas. You could go watch that Mission Impossible movie a few weeks from now, right, at Blockbuster. And it was a joy to get up and go to the nearest Blockbuster around the corner. And Netflix came around. And then Blockbusters started shutting down all over the country to the point where I think there's only one Blockbuster in the US right now, right? And it's like a community that don't really have good internet and whatever. And you look at that and you go, man, it's such a tragedy. There's no more Blockbuster. There's no more going to the store, and all of these people lost their jobs. But then you look at Netflix. Netflix is such
Mm-hmm.
a big company, it's hired more people than all of the blockbusters put together, right? It has people in there's a Netflix in Africa, there's a Netflix in France, there's a Netflix in all staffed with people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even though it eradicated an entire industry, the video rental industry, as in physical VHS cassettes and DVDs. It's now spawned a brand new set of jobs because with these high-end videos being streamed, you need more servers, you need more networking equipment, you need more IT technicians, etc. So it's ballooned the job market. Now, you might say to me, yeah, but Kevin, those people, you still need skilled people. With AI introduction, they could take over all of those roles. True, true, but I still think it's going to create more jobs simply because there are certain things that can't necessarily be replaced. So, for example, we talked about the BTS. People like seeing the behind the scenes. It's a treat to see the behind the scenes. There's also the fact that one of the things I said to you, Tarek, I think it was last year when we were having this conversation about AI, and you're saying you feel most vulnerable as an actor because they can just prompt up the actor they want and tell it what to do, and you're not going to get hired. And I said to you, before AI was making this splash, were you getting hired? And you said no. And then I said, after you created something for yourself, were you getting hired? And you said yes. And that to me is the key. You need to create, use the AI to create. You don't have to eliminate human beings, especially because you're a human being who cares about human beings. You can call up 10 of your actor friends and go, guess what? I want to film Titanic meets Nightmare on Elm Street. 5 friends stuck on a cruise ship with Freddy Krueger, right? And we don't have no budget, we don't have no VFX team, etc., but we have AI, and we're still going to use ourselves as human beings, but my living room is going to become a ship with AI, and you can build that movie in a week or two, release it, and you get paid for that thing that you released. It's just that here's the thing, you said it earlier, the white collar jobs are going to be gone. And I said, is that a bad thing? Because what it then means is, yes, the white collar jobs are going to be gone, the easy jobs are going to be gone. But I think it means that the jobs move up the value chain. And now, as an actor, you don't have to depend on a producer to hire you. You don't have to depend on a producer looking on you and going, he's not tall enough. He's not Tom Cruise enough. You don't care because you're the producer. You're the perfect actor for you. You go, you make that movie, you release it, and it looks just as good as a Hollywood movie, you
That's
know,
correct.
etc. So I feel like it's going to create more jobs. I feel like same thing with the DPs. If the DP not getting hired, he can go, well, you know what? I'm going to shoot this thing with my camera and use AI to do the business side of things, the marketing, the distribution, the things that as a DP you don't want to do. As a DP, you want to use the camera. As a DP, you want light. But there are certain things that as a DP you don't want to do, right? And if you realize, all right, I'm not get hired, but I can still create and make something amazing.
Mhm.
I feel like we're going to have more jobs, but jobs are just going to be completely different from what we're used to. And that's what scares us. We don't know what we'll look like.
Yeah.
So one of
I
the
guess this
biggest
is
thing,
our modern day version of
you know,
the internet just coming
but
out to public, I
but one of
guess.
the biggest thing I believe is, and I think I hear somebody, probably is me and you, are talk about it. If if AI start, if blockbuster movies start coming out with AI, so talk about art. Let's use Avengers, right? Um, what if all of the Avengers were AI generated? If all of the Avengers were AI generated, that means say we wouldn't be able to meet the guy that plays Tony Stark's Thor, Hulk, and so on. That's the
I'm not
next
watching that.
thing.
I'm not watching
Huh?
that movie. I'm not watching that
Facts,
movie.
facts.
Because I brought this up to Kevin, one time, and I was saying, you know, like, are we going to have a situation now? Because again, I don't think any of us thought, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that AI would be at the stage it is today. Maybe a couple people, but definitely not the mass majority. So if we're now in a stage where, you know, scripts are being vetted by AI, are we then going to have a Hollywood movie where the script was written by AI, and then does that script win an award? Like, who gets the writer's credit? Who gets the performance credit? Who gets the camera credit? Is it just going to be a state like in a couple of years where, because this thing is evolving at a much faster rate than any of us anticipated? Are we going to start giving awards to AI?
Best
That's kind
prompter.
of creepy.
And no, yeah, because here's the thing about it. And I mean, I hate to sound like the person who's supporting AI, but I'm more playing the devil's advocate from the standpoint of, because I teach and I have to teach the history of film, and looking at the history of film coming to know, one of the things that I realize is that this is a constant. Like, the reason why I'm not scared is because of all of the things that you guys said. I'm not going to watch an Oscars if it's going to nominate an AI actor. Like, what's the point? You understand? It's like I watched Tom Cruise because I know Tom Cruise really jumped out of that plane, or I know he was really hanging on to that plane. If you told me that, oh, I prompted an actor hanging on to a plane and I think it should get best stunt, I'd be like, nope, because no stunt was actually done.
And I
Yes,
don't
there's a
think I'm also gonna
visual.
feel the stakes of that
Exactly.
if
I
I
won't
know it's
feel the
not a real
stakes of it.
person. I won't.
Right.
I
I won't feel
mean,
the
I
stakes of
mean,
it.
I mean, this is the next thing. Maybe this is a thumbs
But
up for AI.
but I was making a point,
Wait,
Lecky. Let
now,
me just finish my
wait,
point quick. Let me
give
just
me,
finish
give
my
me
point
more.
quick, 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 quick. It's a quick point, Lecky, quick point. So my thing is that right now we say, yo, I'm not gonna watch that film, right? I'm not gonna watch that film with AI people in it because they're not real. But think about this, Tarek. I would say that you're many, many years younger than me. And I'm telling you all the time about certain old films. If I wasn't telling you about these old films, you'd probably not be motivated to go and watch them because they're old. The visual effects are not that great anymore by today's standards, right? But I have to say to you, yeah, this movie was really good, especially for its time, blah, 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 blah. And then when you check it out, you go, oh, eh. Something similar is going to happen to us when we are looking at our kids. They're going to watch the AI movies and not have a problem because they're not going to come from an era where actors were doing it. So they're not going to know what they're missing until we say to them, yeah, that AI movie was okay, but you should really check out Mission Impossible where this actual guy was hanging off the plane. And they're going to be like, oh, Mission Impossible, that old. And until you convince them to watch it and they go, oh, I see what you're saying, Dad. Wow, this was actually pretty dope. Like, when we were looking at the visual effects for Moses, the old Moses with Charlton Heston and parting the Red Sea, and by today's standards, those visual effects don't hold up. But for you, it's amazing because you knew that nobody did that back then. So it's like somebody had to figure that out. So it's
True.
amazing to you because
So wait, let me add to what I say.
yeah,
Let me add to what I say. Because since I go school for animation, and animation is computer graphics, and we can still receive emotions and everything from computer graphics, which is not real people jumping off a mountain and da 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 da, right? I can talk to the point where we're talking about the emotions. I believe we can create an AI movie that's gonna give you emotions and give you thrills and chills. I believe that. That's
yeah,
gonna
you make
happen
an
naturally.
excellent point.
It's gonna happen, right? But still, it's not gonna be a real actor. Unless even if they use the real actor's face and look-alike and likeness, it is still not real, right?
And I
Just
agree.
like and just like now, where if we watch older films, we're like, yo, that shit looks good. And I know it was hard to make that damn film. Ben-Hur, that Ten
Ben-Hur,
Commandments, all of those films are
Ten
hard
Commandments.
Classics.
to make, bro.
Exactly.
Hard to make.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a heavy VFX back then. Or no, there was no VFX back then. Right? Just matte painting and all
Yeah.
of that. I believe when we now look at those films, we're like, oh my gosh, that was hard to make. That now things are easy. Thank God we're not to deal with that. It's gonna be
Exactly.
the future where they're gonna be AI film, just like we can look at film and video and go, that was shot on film, that was shot on video. They're gonna be
Yeah.
like, yeah, that was shot on film, that was shot on video. This is AI, and they're gonna like the AI more because it's their new film. It's
Mhm.
film for them. Like back in the
But
day, film for them, film people that shot on film, they don't care too much about video. Either they don't care too much or they like video because it's a video is easier to shoot. AI is gonna be the same way. Where it's gonna be
so
video versus film,
yeah, it is gonna be
video
video
versus
versus film.
AI, right?
And
I
here's what I'll say. It's gonna be that, and why I appreciate you saying that, Lecky, is because I think what's going to happen is that we're going to hit a point where AI is going to take over, but then human-made stuff is going to fight back because people are going to swing back. There's going to be some people that are going to be tired of seeing AI and they're going to be like, yo, we want to go back to the old way. And then it's going to level off. Or what I mean by level off is you're going to eventually have people finding time to watch AI stuff and finding time to watch human-made stuff. Because think about it. You're watching human beings, but then at the same time, you still find time for watch 2D and 3D animation. People used to say when 3D animation came in, them say, yo, 2D animation dead, because 2D
Mm.
animation, it don't look as realistic, it don't look as good, and it take too long for animate and it too hard. We're still watching anime. When Disney said them are gonna go back to hand drawn, everybody excited.
Oh yeah.
And when Flash animation come in with a little cutout, everybody say, "Oh, this look nasty and this a foolishness. This not gonna last. This not look as good as Disney." Most of the kids' cartoons on TV now is cutout Flash style animation. People said, "Oh, when 3D came out, when Jurassic Park came out, dude, everybody said, yo, stop motion dead, dead."
Mm.
Stop motion still winning awards in Oscars. So I feel like we're going to reach a point where both are going to coexist and we're going to want to watch both. I think what AI is going to be is a cheaper form of entertainment. So you see, like how nowadays we watch the little idiot slash up on TV like a prom queen, and we just watch that because we want to pass the time. We say, all right, but then when we want to watch a serious film, we go watch The Brutalist or we go watch something more serious. I think that's what's going to happen. We're going to be like, during the day for pass the time, I'm gonna watch an AI film. Yeah. But then when you hear say
uh,
Adrian Brody or Tom Cruise in a movie, you're gonna be like, oh, I'm going to go to the cinema for that. That's what
so
I think is
so
gonna happen.
so that's what I was just thinking when you talk. I was like, the future is obviously they're already doing it already, where they start having the categories literally where they say AI, right? So it's gonna be like that. It's gonna be like 3D animation, 2D animation, AI
Mhm.
AI animation, or AI created or AI film. It's not gonna be like
Right.
that. So you go, you know from day one, say that's a AI, right? And I'm not gonna think it is gonna be worse. What I don't want AI films to be is where it is the main filmmaking, the main film that we go watch in
Yeah.
theaters. I
Right.
don't want.
Right.
I mean, I'm not gonna bad mind if it reached to that point, but I don't
I
want
would.
want it to be the main thing where yo you go
Got
watch
you.
an AI film in a theater and then every weekend is an AI film.
Right.
Then bro, like there's no more use
Because
for actual filmmakers.
I
you
think
see
what's
it
going to
even now.
happen.
Yeah.
No,
No.
I was
I
going to
was just
say,
gonna
well,
say.
let me make this point quick. What you see it right now, like you were, remember, me and you are in the animation space, and no doubt you just like me always hearing, oh, 2D is dead. It's all about 3D. Better you go learn 3D animation. 2D is dead, 2D is dead, 2D is dead. What do we see now, Lecky? We see 2D animation with 3D backgrounds, or we see 3D models with 2D painted over them to make them look more 2D. Because obviously we still like 2D, right? Even my child who is 6 doesn't like 3D as much as he likes 2D. He loves 2D. And it's not me teach him that. He loves it. So yeah, your point, Tarek.
Well, no, I agree with what you were saying, Given and Licky. Well, also, to Licky's point about it being something, AI, where we're just going to the theaters and we're only seeing AI films, people have been extremely selective about going to the theater in the past couple of years, especially since COVID. It's like unless a certain actor is in this movie or it's a spectacle, I'm not going to watch it in the theaters. I then wonder, is this going to be another huge blow to the industry for a couple of years until your point bringing in, Kevin, where we're able to find a balance where we say, all right, there's this AI section right now, but then these types of movies are coming back. Like there are people who, like, if a movie is captured on film, people would say, all right, I need to go watch it in theaters because you only get
Yeah.
that experience. You're not gonna get that at home. Or if
Yeah.
like Mission Impossible is out now. That's a Tom Cruise movie. That's Mission Impossible. That's a brand. Have to see that in theaters. But a little independent movie, not to demean it, because independent movies are great, but not you. More people will go see Mission Impossible than an independent film. With AI coming into the space now, how much do you guys think that will impact the market? Like, will it be a
It's
blow?
it's
You know,
gonna it's gonna it's gonna be a huge blow at first because here's how I look at it. When you look at the latest technologies and how they've been behaving, FX trading, when FX trading came in, everybody was rushing FX trading. Everything was FX trading, FX trading. If you never have a FX trading account, if you never have FX trading products to offer, nobody now bank with you. And now FX trading is not as big as it used to be. Then crypto came in. Yo, I have to get my Bitcoin. Yo, so I bought the Bitcoin for $100 and now it's worth $1 million. And everybody was rushing into Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the future. Some countries even adopting cryptocurrency as them standard currency. And no,
FOMO.
nobody now about crypto. Remember NFTs? Anybody remember NFTs?
FOMO. There's always going to be FOMO, fear of missing
Right.
out.
yeah,
But
yeah.
the
So
question, I don't know what question we're on, because
no, well, we're
Mama
still
says something else about AI that I think we should get
say
to, because I don't.
say
What question are we on
last
right now?
we're on the second question, which is basically the question is, could it create more jobs? Right?
Okay,
And
okay,
I'm saying it will because I feel like my last point for question two is that I feel like, yes, it's going to disrupt in the beginning, just like how crypto disrupt and everybody did dip on it. But after a while, it's going to phase out like a fad. But crypto still exists, FX trading still exists, NFTs still exist. They're just not a fad anymore. And what I
yeah,
think is going to happen is AI and real life will mix. They're still going to
yeah.
have real actors, but maybe the background actors may not always be real. And the settings may not always, because bro, right now, AI reach a point where if you spent a lot of money getting those LCD screens, you might have wasted your money, right? But that's a good thing, which will lead into our next question. But I want you to
Which
make your
LCD
point
screens?
strictly. Huh?
Which LCD
The
screens are those?
LEDs, the LED
LED.
virtual sets, virtual sets.
Oh, all right. Let's
Yeah.
get to that point, because
So
I
great. So the third question is, what about the benefits to small countries slash industries that cannot compete with the budgets?
yes,
Isn't it,
my.
isn't this leveling of the playground for us an opportunity to build our own and potentially make more?
Okay. Yes, sir. Oh, I'm gonna run off my face.
Yeah,
Yes,
man.
sir.
Take it.
Yes,
Are
sir.
you
All
my
right.
DJ?
And watch out, youth. Um, Me and Kevin has have had this conversation before, and I'm not I'm not AI positive at all. Um, but I see and know the power of AI. So listen, if you're a big company that have the money to do a Marvel universe or DC universe and all of that, where you can get the concept artist, the 3D modeler, the 3D animator, everybody in that industry plus more, and somebody to actually write the script, actual script writers and people that review and so on, you should spend that money and do that, right? If it's just me, Kevin, or Tariq, and we doing this and we don't have those skills, those other skills that's needed to create this this shot or do this shot or do the film that we have in mind, I believe that is when we should start actually experimenting and using AI to see how AI can speed us up or can make us not itch on one thing just because we don't know how to do it, right? That is that's when I think I would use AI. Like the other day, I shot an episode of a web series that I'm doing, and the guy voice, he was supposed to be a gay person over the phone, and the guy that voiced it, he did send his original audio, but I never heard it. The actor that we're using in the scene did the voiceover that I heard, and I was saying to the editor, it don't sound too feminine. So I was thinking, all right, can you change the pitch on the voice and all of that? Just to change, make it sound a little bit more feminine, push a little bit more feminine, like, what you call it, like, voice change inside. And we were messing around, we couldn't get it. I'm driving one day, and all of a sudden, I remember a song that my brethren sing. Come out the other day called Lover Boy, Dale Elliott. And I remember when I heard that song before it released, there was a girl singing in it. And I was like, yo, which girl that? Who sing that? Him say, me sing that. What do you mean me sing that? He must say, yeah, me sing it with AI. And when I remember that, I called him immediately and said, yo, tell me the software will you use for do that. And then crazily, I don't know if my phone is listening to me or something, but I saw something come up that show you can put your voice in something and the AI could change your voice to another person's voice and another person's style or something. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, that can save you in many places, because maybe you create a character, or maybe you don't have that actress anymore that you've been trying to get, and because of her schedule or because you just don't want to come and do the ADR, you could just record it yourself and use her voice. And that's where I see where AI is very useful. And as being a VFX person, rotoscoping, matte painting, tracking, like motion tracking of the body, all of these things, like, AI is winning right now. AI is winning. But the thing is, crazily, my name is Mark Lecky. My initial is ML. And we call it AI, but it's really machine learning. Right? So it's crazy. The possibilities of machine learning, I like it, and what it can do, and being a VFX artist and knowing how it can save time, I love that, right? And I've said it to Kevin, and I've always been the way of saying, if it's in my software, I don't care. But for me to come out of my software and go use ChatGPT or something else, and so it's taking me out of. Now I'm deliberately using AI, and I've not used it in that way yet. I'm not against using it in that way, but I just give you my reason why I would use AI in that way. Is if I really need something to do a concept art for me, or do what do you call it, background painting or matte painting or something like that.
Right.
That's my spiel on using of AI.
The way I look at it is this, right? Yeah, I don't want AI to take away people's jobs, or at the very least, even if it takes away people's jobs, I need it to also open up more jobs for people, right? Because I want creatives to work. Creatives have always suffered with low pay, suffer with, not getting jobs, etc., etc. And I don't want to make that worse. At the same time, I live in a country where we don't get a lot of jobs because we don't get a lot of money to create for ourselves. And a lot of times, the people who are privileged enough to be able to afford all of these fandangles, the VFX artists, the stunt team, even the virtual sets, right? They live in countries where they have a serious industry, an engine of an industry, where they can easily get the money to do these films. And when I say easily, I mean relatively compared to us. Now, we in Jamaica, we can't afford a storyboard artist. We can't always afford actors. Like, I can tell you, if I grab 10 actors off of the street, they will probably tell me that the last 2 or 3 films they acted in for free or for dirt cheap, right? Because most of the time we don't have no money for create. And when we do scrape up our little chupons and create something, it's not good enough because we didn't have the money for that, the amount of lights we needed. We didn't have the money for the location and the set design that we needed. We didn't have the money for the color grading equipment that we need to make sure that the colors are right and all of these things, right? And you spend your money, you go abroad, you try to see if, hey, maybe I can entice an investor to come on board with this project. But for them, it's like, yeah, you're not good enough, right? Or what you're presenting to me just don't hit the market. If I can get something to level the play field where, okay, my budget is 10,000 US versus your budget, which is $1 million, your low budget, and when I say your, I mean people in the States, their low budget is 500 grand to $1 million. In Jamaica, low budget is at like say anywhere between 10 grand to 100 grand. My 10 grand to 100 grand can't compare to your 500 to $1 million, right?
We would take that
So,
low budget from them and make some.
right.
Yes.
If we got their low budget money, we would probably make 5 movies out of it, right?
Yep.
So for us now, AI represents more possibilities. AI is literally us getting the equipment that they have without actually getting the equipment they have. So now I can film a Jamaican Titanic. I don't have to sit down on my Titanic script and go, well, it's never gonna get made because we don't have the money. I've been pitching and pitching and pitching, and nobody can see the vision. And now I started pitching this when I was 26. Now I'm 62 and I still haven't gotten the film made. AI has come on board. Guess what? You don't have to reach 62 to make it. You make it, and people can now see your vision. I'll never forget Barbarian, the movie Barbarian. That guy was pitching the hell out of that script for ages and nobody would take it on. And finally, somebody take it on, low budget, he make it, and it became the biggest horror movie that year. Nobody saw the vision, right? And you need something to level the playing field. I think that for a third world country or a global south country, developing country, whatever you want to call it, we need an advantage. Like, think about the fact virtual sets will prevent us. Think about it this way, Lord of the Rings. You think a Jamaican production can fly to New Zealand to go shoot a movie? On what
Absolutely not.
budget? On what budget? Right? Do you think the average Jamaican can buy LED screens and fill up a
S-
room to shoot a
So
virtual set? No, but with AI, we can. We can compete. We can make something that
I
can
would
go in the cinema and compete the same weekend as a Titanic with
I would
that
say it's
technology.
I would say it's cost effective. That's what
It
I
is.
basically say. It's very cost
Yeah,
effective.
Yeah.
But if you have the skill, I believe you should use the skill, but it could also enhance your skill because I didn't also
yeah,
say where those people that you're now paying, even though they can do it, they are now using AI to help them generate faster and do things
exactly.
faster.
That's true.
So and they're getting the same pay. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
What I wanted to
And
say also was like, for example, scissor reels. Because remember, like a scissor reel, unless you shoot the scissor reel, usually you cut it from movies, right? Cut it from different movies, the look, the action. So and you put it together and you put it with your script and go, this is basically the style the movie is going to be in, or the way, or the basically like cut a fake trailer, right? Now with AI and looking so real and so on, you could literally go, I want it to look like this film. I want it to have this type of lighting, this actor, bam bam bam. You could literally prompt out a scissor reel, which
yep,
is absolutely cool as hell to do. You know what I mean? or you
No, true.
shoot it.
I mean, Lecky, you saw me pitch my old hike, and you see me start doing the storyboarding with AI. And I told you my main reason for storyboarding with AI. My challenge is that, you know, as a director, writer director, and I know other writer directors have this problem because I see memes on Instagram all the time about the same thing, where you're trying to communicate the look to your DP. And you and your DP, no matter how you describe it, no matter how you draw it, you and your DP have two different things in them head, right? Uno kind of up on the same page, you wanna go up on shot deck, you get a picture, say, yeah, man, I someone want it look. But then by the time it shoot and color, you're like, yeah, it not feel like that for some reason. And me using was LTX Studio to do the storyboard is so that I can get an image so close to what I want it to actually look like. I can say to the DP, as someone want it look, and the DP can go, oh, okay, I see the type of lighting you're going for. I see the type of richness you're going for, or yada, yada, yada. And then I can actually turn that into a video and play it back and we can watch it and see, does it work, does it not work? This don't mean that I'm going to use the AI to make the movie. But now I can show the DP something. I can show the DP what they in my head, right? And the
But
DP go and sit and do what I don't mean say it mustn't take improvisation, but at least we can get so close to what I want that we both leave satisfied and
but
not come back watching the film going, yeah, the film good, but it never really come out the way I had it in my head.
but Kevin, you have had that script for a while. You've told it to me. I've visualized it in my mind's eye, whatever you want to call it, brain, mind's eye, and I've seen the vision.
Yeah.
And you see, when you did the storyboards with the pictures, I was like, this is exactly what I was thinking about. I didn't see the
Mm.
mode, but I thought of the powers and things this way, how it look. And when you show me that, I was like, no, that is clear as day. Because me as a VFX person, when I see it, I go, okay, now that's the look of the effect that you want, and so on and so forth, or something close to that. So it
And you
helps.
know what's even better, Lecky?
And you don't have to pay
Because
$1 million to do that type of drawing and
right.
painting.
Yeah.
And you know what's even better, Lecky? Because it's not hard to convince a DP of what this thing should look like. Because like you said, you had the same thing in your mind. But what's good is that now I can take that and show an investor. I can take that and show an executive who don't have as much imagination. And he or she can see the vision as clear as we see it. Because I can tell you as a writer, sometimes you pitch something and people just go, uh, uh, and it's when you shoot it and show them go, oh, because I'm telling you, I meet a lot of business people who imagination is not in their DNA. It's
So,
not in like it's
so,
just not in their DNA.
so
You have
Kevin,
to
so
see.
Kevin, that is exactly what I'm talking about. Where this it helps creating a scissor reel, because from those images you can literally make video from it and prompt it, and that makes you
Right.
into have a scissor reel that you can show to somebody, like a something you did shoot, and you can even put action in it and all of that. That's the power it have over getting up and go shoot a scissor reel.
So if anything, it really just advances the work instead of him having to go shop it all over the place and not have anything to show them. Because my stance on it now, as time has progressed and you've just seen how it's evolved, is that it's not going anywhere. It's here to stay and it's going to keep evolving. So for us, like my answer to your question, Kevin, the last question is, it's here, so we should then use it as an advantage, because investors, people abroad in other countries where the industry is more established, they always want at least like two of these things. Like there are more, but at least two. They want it to be good and they want it to look good. And if we can use AI to that effect to bring it up to that level, then I would say let's just do it. My only caution for some people is to not get lost in using AI so much that it replaces you as a talent. regardless of whatever the role is. Because I know that there are some people who every single thing they're tasked with, their first instinct is to go to AI.
And that's the problem. I don't think that we as human beings should ever give up our skill. And I'm going to take this as an opportunity to wrap up the podcast now and say that artificial intelligence, I believe it's here to stay. I haven't seen many technologies this revolutionary and this disruptive that have not stayed. I believe that yes, it does pose a risk to our jobs, it does pose a risk to our skills, and we should never ever let our skills diminish. One of the things that defines us, if especially if you believe in God, God gives you gifts that you should use. So we should never ever give it up and let something else use our gifts for us, right? Because if you don't use it, you lose it, and then what use are you? What's your purpose in the world? I think that artificial intelligence does pose a benefit, and we as human beings need to determine how we utilize that. And I think we need to ensure that we balance it. In the same way, when I'm using text messages and it's suggesting corrections to me, I don't use the corrections to write for me. I actually look at the corrections to help improve my spelling. And I try to spell it properly before the correction tells me that it needs correcting. I know some people use it the opposite way, where they don't bother to spell the word, they just spell part of it and wait for the AI to tell them what the next word should be. And they just, take that skill away from themselves. I don't think we should ever reach that point. Every human being, and I advocate, especially as a teacher, teach people the basics without AI. I don't make my son use AI. I want him to use AI someday, but I want him to use AI after he's gained the skill because I think the best way to take advantage of AI is to actually have skill yourself first. Don't let AI take everything away from you, right? That's my final thoughts. And if any of you have any final thoughts before I close off, I open the floor to you.
I just say retweet that because it's not going anywhere. And I agree that each of us has a skill. The technology is always going to evolve, but what you're bringing as a person is much more than your skill. I think it's your entire essence of a human being. I will never feel about AI the way I feel about a person, because it's with a person, it's not just what I'm asking you to do, it's getting your full thoughts on the matter, your feelings, your maybe disagreements about it, and then how we can work together to create something really great. The relationship that you'll have with people, I personally don't believe you'll get that with AI. So don't let yourself become lost in using AI to eventually replace you.
And Nick, if you have any final thoughts, I'll leave it with you.
I would say that too. The camaraderie, is that the word, between people,
Yes.
that's gonna be lost. The brotherhood, many things, the group setting, the team, all of that gonna get lost. The more people try to push in. I mean, it's gonna take a team to sit down in a room like VFX artists and put the scenes together. The editor, maybe the editor is gonna be right next to the VFX person. Maybe the VFX person is gonna be the editor, right? Because if you're shooting, not even shooting, if you're prompting the specific scene, that means it's not like even in animation, sometimes they animate a scene and they go, this is not working, and they actually animate, they storyboard it, so when they animate the specific thing that they need to animate. The storyboard has to work first before they start animating the film. They have the voice already and everything, right? So they're not going to get to play with, oh, this take and this take or da 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 da. They're just gonna have the specific thing, and things gonna get knocked out faster. And
All right.
you're gonna lose the in-betweens, the in-between of people just conversating and, you know, going through the problem of figuring it out and making it work and all of them thing there. And as I say, stars aren't gonna be stars anymore. They're gonna be digital stars. Hollywood Walk of Fame is not gonna make sense anymore. It's, you know what I mean?
No, don't speak that into being. Like, stop it.
Just saying, like, Uzan is going to go in the cement. That's what I'm saying. Uzan is going to go in the cement. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I'm gonna leave you with this, Lecky. I'm gonna leave you with this and close off. We we are saying that as people who exist in this world, right? We don't know what world the next generation is going to come up in. And to be honest, when your son or grandson is in his meta world with his VR headset and going to the digital Walk of Fame, they're not going to know anything about the Hollywood Walk of Fame that we know. But that's for another time. For now, let's just keep creating and doing what we do. And everybody, just letting you know that our point of view is just our point of view. You may have your point of view. You get to choose and decide what you do with AI. And that's it for a New View podcast. Next time we have another exciting topic. So see you in the next episode.
I'm out.
Thank you for listening to the A New View podcast. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you want more information on today's episode, check the show notes below if you are on a podcast platform, or the description if you are on YouTube. See you next episode.